cuckold. That's a goofy hat to wear at this point. Yes, I cut my hair. There we go. You looked up this video because maybe you were trying to find out the same thing I was. Now, whenever I try to look up something, I have trouble looking it up. I put up a request for comment, RFC, RFI, request for information. Here we go. Screw your optics and optic cucks are expressions that people are throwing around these days. And there's an intrinsic understanding of when it was used and why if you lurk more on 4chan and the other places. Yes, I'm using a lot of coded language, so I'll explain it. Lurk more means don't comment or participate until you've hung out and learn what people are talking about, because people use meme speak on the internet, not just on 4chan. Lurk more is actually a website. It tells you what the meanings are. It doesn't have a clear explanation. So I'll start with the pseudo root word for screw your optics and optic cucks both. Cucks. This is a shortened version of the expression cuckold. You can look that up on Wikipedia. But I'm going to give you the main usages that are yelled at by both sides. Online usage only by white nationalists and alt-righty-thens to insult people who are too mainstream and are not extreme and conservative. That's like me calling someone a fago tree or accusing them of having a fago tree in their backyard because they grow fagos instead of faggotry. When it's actually a self-described term. I'm an HP 41CX calculator faggot. I'm gay for electronics. It's a joke. It was originally. Failure because you're a newbie and you're just a fanboy, calling them fago trees. The reason we use that expression, I specifically use the words fago tree, is because technically that actually is kind of funny, and it brings up juggalos a lot, and it's funny. Magnets. So let's get on with it. A weak or servile man, contemptuous term for a man with a moderate or progressive political view. The expression here is rather simple. If you're a liberal, you must be weak and servile to your woman because conservatives are domineering over women, hence the stereotype that conservatives are abusive assholes to their girlfriends. The majority of cuckolds, the actual, perversion of being a cuckold, we'll call it that, being mean, is adopted primarily by conservative men, not liberal men. The majority of cuckolds are actually conservative men. No, I'm not joking about it. In order to maintain a relationship, if your toxic masculinity is getting over on you, one of the methods of getting over it, according to conservative women in church, is for men to become subservient to women under certain conditions in a role-playing thing that is not totally creepy or perverse or just a kinkster thing. Conservatives hide their kinks. And when conservatives are called out for behaving not conservative, but submissively towards their women in their relationship, exchanging roles of who's in charge under certain conditions, so it's not an imbalanced situation. They're called cuckolds. A cuckold is a person who's in a relationship, male or female, where their significant other fools around on them. And the reason this is a paraphilia is because some people want that. Many people in marriages want open relationships because they don't want to be ever able to be what they were before, which was jealous. People are very territorial about their relationships. Being territorial about your mate is a really easy way to lose your mate. So to overcompensate in a lot of relationships that are to be sustained for decades, men in many relationships voluntarily tell their mate, and also women, in the case of traditionalist conservatives, the women tell the men that they have to be subservient to them so that the woman's jealousy doesn't ruin the relationship. That really happens, by the way. This is a documented thing from the 40s and 50s. Not kidding. And men sometimes change roles and decide they wish to be submissive so that they will not be able to be jealous. If one of you has a big jealousy problem, one of the ways of getting over it, although I won't do it, is to decide to have an open relationship at the will of the person you're jealous about, so that you burn it out of your system so you're not jealous anymore. If you're trying to retain a relationship for 2 or 3 decades to maintain it so you can have children, you need to stop being jealous. And one of the more extreme ways of fixing this is very Freudian, but it was done primarily in religious communities, was for the man to be told in confidence to stop being dominant and let the woman go out on dates. Get used to them going out and hanging out with men out of town so that there's no controversy. So that the man would just sort of get used to, yes, she's on a date with a guy, but she's still my wife and she's not fooling around on me. It's a way of getting over it. That's actually where the cuckold thing came from. Some of them even found they really liked it, because then they acted like they were dating again instead of being married, and it made the relationship better. And then finally you get people who do wife swapping. This is an adult subject. This has nothing to do with alt-righty then. But the trouble is, liberals that do this don't lie about it. Conservatives constantly lie about everything, including even having sex. They're notorious for literally being in the closet about fucking everything. Being gay or straight in some cases. Yes, that actually happened, by the way. But this does mean that the male is no longer acting overly dominant or being jealous or being in charge of the relationship. I'm going to explain this to you from both sides. I've been the dominant in a relationship. Yes, that kind of dominant, and also been the boss in the relationship, because the woman I was with said, I want you to run things. I don't want to run things all the time. She got tired of running things. She was running a business. She told me, I want you to run everything. I can't run my life and hers and run a business and hers. It didn't work. So we took sides. During the day I was the boss, and during the rest of the day she was. No, this isn't some kinkster thing, although it could have been. I mean, that's fine. We're all adults here, I hope. If you're not an adult, you shouldn't be watching this video. But the point to this is, being a cuckold is just an insult for someone who is simply not being dominant all the time. Now, if you're obsessed with whether or not someone else is wearing the pants in the family, then you shouldn't be insulting any Scots. The whole point of this is, if you reactionarily, yes, screams conservative, reactionarily overreact to people doing something different than you because you can't tolerate them, you're going to scream cuck. But, just like saying Fago tree, or the other version of it that'll get the video flagged, it isn't always an insult. It's an acknowledgement of something. So let's get on with optics cucks, or cuck optics. Making yourself look like you're being subservient to whoever your opponent is. Backing down, showing any weakness. That's an optics cuck. Optics in this case is referring to how you appear or how you present yourself. You're not selling out, you're making it look like it. And one of the things that you'll hear out of conspiracy theorists, white nationalists, and neo-Nazis is Hitler was a cuck, an optics cuck. He made himself look like he was obeying and going along with his opponent long enough to get an advantage. So if you see someone saying you're being an optics cuck, what you're doing is you're trying to make yourself more palatable for your opponents so that they don't attack you as much, so you can get some progress. Not looking like an asshole is what an optics cuck is, on one end of the spectrum. On the other end, you're being a poser. Not an opposer, but being a poser. A poser versus opposer. Disavow everything you did as edgy humor. Say it was a social experiment. Lie to people so that they'll accept you back, and act slightly like you're apologizing, or overtly apologize for your behavior when you don't mean it, because apologies cost nothing. Next one, staying away from explicit subjects that cause controversy so that you can make some progress. Like me telling people who are liberals, stop talking about gun control. You aren't able to make it happen at all. Next, I literally show them how to build a 50 caliber sniper rifle for $100. Because the information on that has been available for about 80 years. The 50 caliber 50 BMG has been around a very long time. Being able to make one cheap has been around a very long time. I'm not going to tell anybody how to do that yet. Later, maybe. But I tell them, there's no point in you making rules against it. You can convert a 12 gauge. It's not complicated. And you can build it from scratch. And it's less than $100. And it'll work several thousand times. You're not going to win this. Stop bringing it up. And with conservatives, stop bringing up homosexuality and abortion. You've already lost. Bringing it up is literally, you're blowing raspberries. You're not gaining anything. And everybody's tired of hearing it. It's like yelling, Obama isn't an American. It's dead. There's no progress to that. Stop it. Screw your optics. The guy who did that murdering yelled that expression, or said that expression by typing it out. Screw appearances. I'm going to be out and proud about my behavior. And the reason I'm saying it that way is, several years ago, I heard a gay guy who was trying to pass as straight say, screw your optics. I'm out and proud gay. Yeah, the expression isn't just alt-righty then. He's a left-winger. Oh boy, is he a left-winger. But he cosplays as being a normie, as they say, or doesn't throw whatever he is in everybody's face. I'm a flamboyantly heterosexual, hypermasculine, blah, 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 blah. But I don't beat women, and I'm not in a relationship, and I don't want to be in a relationship because a woman tried to murder me. I'm not going to do that again. Until I have a situation where it's mechanically, yes, it'll be a gun-free zone in my bed. There's a joke there. Viagra. I'm not going to be in a relationship unless I can make it physically impossible for someone to stab me, or I can learn to trust a woman again after someone literally tried to murder me in my own bed, who was supposed to be my mate. You see, I have a history with that. But let's get on with the other stuff here. Does that make me a cuck? No, it just means I'm not on the market anymore. And I'm not dancing for you ladies for that money. Hitler stressed the importance of what these people are calling optics, what he called image. Image and optics mean the same fucking thing. That's the definition. You will not find that on any urban dictionary page because it always brings up white nationalists. So because liberals are running the definitions boards and the grammar Nazis are all liberals these days, you can't find the definition that when someone says screw your optics, they're saying screw your public image. And when someone says optic cuck, they mean public image kowtowing. Imagery and strategies that will be palatable to the average person and strongly disavowing violence. It amounts to optics cucking. Optics cucking, per the critics, can be boiled down as you're only putting on a normie face because you're too scared to openly embrace your fascist imagery and praise violence. Now, here's an interesting thing. What if you openly disavow fascist imagery and violence because you're not a fascist, you're just literally an American nationalist? What if you are proud of your country? As messed up as it is, warts and all, you're still proud of it and you still love it, no matter how fucked up it is. Why would you have to embrace fascism or praise violence? I tell people not to build a gun. I tell them to go buy one. I tell them to go shoot targets, not people. The expression is that this is only used by people who are wannabe, obese, Nazi, live-action role players who think marching through the streets of Charlottesville, carrying tiki torches and chanting, "You will not replace us," or was it some other word, is a viable political strategy. Now I'm going to bring up something important. I'm in the city of Portland, Oregon, and it overtly allowed Nazis to march because people would come out and throw tomatoes at them. They were a pariah population. And "you will not replace us," and "Jews will not replace us," was chanted by them. And that was a viable political strategy because it made them cucks to the rest of society because they didn't get anybody counter-demonstrating to give them any attention. Most of you don't even know that an actual Nazi party marched through Portland, Oregon repeatedly for many decades until, honestly, nobody wanted to show up anymore because nobody would even cover them in the news because absolutely no one showed up after the first tomato incident to even bring it up. They literally didn't show up. They ignored them. They went away because no one gave a fuck because they couldn't literally get arrested in Portland, Oregon by being Nazis. So yeah, that is a viable way to do it because that actually ended up with almost no violence, except for anti-Nazi punk rockers beating the shit out of them. Anyway, explaining the terms, hope you got it, hope you liked the useful things. And yeah, I'm going to be pointing at some alt-right pages that gave hints to it, but even they won't define it. They don't want you to know what they're talking about. Now you do. Let the flaggings begin.